What happens when a CEO goes undercover and catches a server secretly sneaking food out the back door only to discover something that changes the way he sees his company forever? Quentin Zeller leaned back in his office chair, staring out the tall windows overlooking the city skyline. 16 restaurants, all built from scratch over the last 15 years. He'd poured everything into this company: late nights, second mortgages, the works. Now it was a name people knew. Not a fast food joint, not fine dining somewhere in between. Good food, fast service, decent prices. But lately? Things felt off. Customer complaints had been ticking up at 2 locations. Nothing major: slow service, rushed staff, missing orders, but just enough to make Quentin uncomfortable. The district manager kept brushing it off. Short-staffed. Hiring's tough. We're doing our best. Quentin didn't like hearing "we're doing our best" when he knew what true effort looked like. He decided to visit one of the problem stores himself, Store 12, a mid-sized location just outside Kansas City. He hadn't met the staff there personally. It was one of the newer locations, and turnover had been high. No one there knew what he looked like, and with a good disguise: gray beard, glasses, dyed hair, he'd be just another new hire. He signed up as a trainee dishwasher for the week. Easy cover. No one pays attention to the new dishwasher. When he walked in that Monday morning, the kitchen was already buzzing. Heat, noise, clatter of pans, he'd missed that. Quentin introduced himself as Ray, a down-on-his-luck guy trying to get back on his feet. The general manager, a guy in his late 30s named Travis, barely looked up. "All right, Ray. Dishes back there. Don't touch the grill, don't talk to customers, don't slow us down. Got it?" Quentin nodded. Got it. He spent the first few hours scrubbing trays and watching the kitchen dynamic. Travis barked orders non-stop, barely saying thank you. The line cooks looked exhausted. One of them, a skinny teen with a sleeve tattoo and nervous eyes, kept glancing toward the back door. Every few hours, a girl with a dark braid and soft voice stepped into view. She wasn't loud, but everything about her was alert. Efficient. Kind. Brenda. Her name tag read. She floated between tables and kitchen like glue, holding the place together. By the end of day 2, Quentin noticed something strange. Around closing time, Brenda would take a tray of leftovers: buns, grilled chicken, fries that hadn't been served, and slip out the back door. Not trash. Still good food. At first, he thought she might be stealing. On Wednesday night, he followed her. She didn't see him. He kept his distance, sticking to the shadows near the dumpster. Brenda knelt next to the alley wall, quietly setting down the tray. Within seconds, 2 skinny dogs trotted out from behind a fence, tails wagging. She spoke to them gently, tearing the chicken into pieces, setting down cups of water. Quentin stayed frozen. She wasn't stealing. She was feeding strays. Brenda sat cross-legged in the alley, petting one of the dogs while the other ate. She pulled something out of her pocket, maybe a small notebook, and jotted something down before heading back in. Quentin stood there, stunned. The next night, he watched again. Same thing. Different tray, same dogs. This time, she stayed longer. The dogs curled up beside her. She hummed a tune, soft, almost like a lullaby. Thursday morning, the district manager, Kyle, showed up. Clean suit, clipboard, fake smile. Quentin listened from the dish pit as Kyle pulled Travis aside. "Corporate's watching numbers," Kyle said. "If someone's taking food out the back, you better shut it down. Doesn't matter why." Travis grunted. "I'll handle it." Quentin's gut turned. That night, he saw Brenda again, slipping out with the tray. This time, Travis followed her. Quentin dried his hands and moved quietly toward the back door. "You think this is a shelter?" Travis snapped, stepping into the alley. "You're giving away food that could be sold tomorrow. You don't get to decide what happens to leftovers." Brenda stood slowly, holding the tray close. "They're just animals. I don't take what's not safe. I check everything." It's food we'd throw away. You're not the one who makes that call. I'm not stealing, she said quietly. Doesn't matter. One more time and you're out. You hear me? Quentin stepped out of the shadows. Hey, he said. That's enough. Travis turned, annoyed. Mind your business, Ray. But Quentin didn't back down. He looked at Brenda. You okay? She nodded, eyes wide. Quentin clenched his jaw. He'd seen enough. Tomorrow, he wouldn't be Ray anymore. Quentin arrived an hour before opening on Friday, still in his dishwasher uniform, still playing Ray. But his mind was no longer focused on scrubbing pans. He hadn't slept much. What he'd seen in that alley, the care, the quiet dignity, wasn't something he could ignore. He stepped through the back entrance just as the prep shift started. The air smelled of onions and raw dough. Mops leaned in the corner, the floor still damp. A new girl no older than 19 was slicing tomatoes, her hands moving nervously. She kept glancing at Travis, who was already pacing near the dry storage, barking into his earpiece. Double the deliveries again? We're already overstocked, he said. No, I'm not tossing good inventory just because corporate overordered. Figure it out. Quentin moved past him without a word. He clocked in, tied his apron, and started on the prep dishes. The kitchen buzzed around him, blenders whirring, vents kicking on, the thud of freezer doors. Everyone looked tired, but no one dared slow down. Not with Travis watching. Brenda arrived 20 minutes later, slipping in through the side door, hair tucked beneath a cap. She didn't look at anyone. Just walked straight to the front counter, scanned the schedule, and headed to her station. Her shoulders sat a little higher than yesterday, like she was bracing for something. Quentin caught her alone for a moment near the ice machine. You good? He asked. Her eyes flicked up. I'm always good. Why? He wiped his hands on a towel. Just looked like yesterday got to you, that's all. I've worked through worse, she said gently. But thanks. Then she headed out to restock the tea dispensers, letting the conversation die. By lunchtime, the dining room was packed. A line snaked past the entrance, and the kitchen was running hot. The fryer beeped nonstop, and the printer spat out tickets faster than anyone could read them. Brenda moved fast, balancing trays, offering refills, clearing tables between deliveries. But Travis wasn't satisfied. Why are we at a 12-minute ticket time? He snapped at the expo guy. Get it under 10 or I'll start cutting shifts. We're backed up, the cook said. 2 people called out. We're short. Then work faster. Quentin gritted his teeth. He'd run kitchens before. He knew what 12 minutes meant when you were down 2 cooks. It wasn't bad, it was survival. At 2:30, Brenda finally took a break. She sat near the back, sipping water, arms folded on the table. Quentin sat across from her. You always feed those dogs? He asked quietly. She glanced around, then nodded. Every day I can. He leaned forward. Why? She hesitated. I used to wait tables downtown. Place closed during the lockdowns. I was out of work for months. I lived in my car. No family nearby. Some nights, I'd sleep behind a gas station just to stay warm. One night, this mudda big, ugly thing crawled under the blanket I was using. Kept me warm all night. Every night after that, he came back. Quentin didn't speak. I promised myself, she continued, if I ever got back on my feet, I'd do the same. For any animal that needed it. Doesn't matter if they're strays. They deserve kindness. Before Quentin could respond, Travis stormed into the break room. You two think this is social hour? He barked. Brenda, you've got tables. Ray, the sink's backed up. Brenda stood without a word and left her water untouched. Quentin went back to the dish pit. The drain was slow, but not clogged. He ran the sprayer, watching food bits swirl, his mind somewhere else. He was done watching. At 4, Kyle returned. He didn't come through the back this time. He walked in the front door, suit sharp, sunglasses still on, clipboard in hand. Quentin saw him scan the room from behind the kitchen window. Kyle pulled Travis aside again, near the soda machines. "We've got a serious problem," he said. "Someone from corporate flagged security footage. That girl's been giving away food for weeks. And now someone's leaking photos, dogs, trays, the alley. If this goes public, it's going to look like we allow theft." Travis folded his arms. "I already warned her. Warning's not enough. You need to terminate her. Today." Quietly. Quentin dried his hands and stepped into the hallway. "You're not firing her," he said. Kyle narrowed his eyes. "Excuse me? She's not stealing. She's feeding animals with food we toss anyway. You want to talk about PR? Try explaining how your company fired someone for showing compassion." Kyle looked him up and down. "You're a dishwasher. This is way above your pay grade." "I'm not a dishwasher," Quentin said, pulling off his hat. "Name's Quentin Zeller. I own this company." The hallway went silent, except for the faint hum of the soda machine. Kyle opened his mouth, then closed it. Travis took a step back. "Wait. What?" "You heard me," Quentin said. "I've been working here all week watching. Listening. And I've seen enough." Kyle recovered first. "Quentin, I understand you're trying to get a feel for operations, but this isn't the way." "No," Quentin interrupted. "This is exactly the way. You told a manager to fire someone for feeding animals. You told him to shut it down without asking why. That's not leadership. That's damage control." Kyle shifted. "We have policy. Policy doesn't excuse cruelty." Travis spoke up, voice defensive. "She broke food safety protocol, did she?" Quentin asked. "Or did she make sure nothing spoiled and chose to help something that can't help itself?" Neither man answered. Quentin stepped past them and walked back into the kitchen. The staff froze when they saw him, Brenda included. She was wiping a counter, brow furrowed. He raised his voice just enough. "I need everyone's attention for a minute." The kitchen went quiet. "I'm Quentin Zeller. I started this company out of a food truck 15 years ago. Most of you didn't know who I was, because I've been undercover this past week. I wanted to see how things really run when no one's watching." He looked around the room. What I saw was troubling. I saw a staff working themselves to the bone with little appreciation. I saw rules enforced without compassion. But I also saw people like Brenda who go above and beyond. Who carry this store not just with their labor, but with their values. She didn't break our brand. She embodied it. Brenda's lips parted slightly, but she said nothing. He turned toward her. "You've got heart. And I'm sorry your kindness was treated like a liability. That ends today." Then he looked at the cooks, the servers, even the timid girl still slicing tomatoes. "Starting Monday, we're reviewing every store's staffing model. No more skeleton schedules. If we don't have enough people, we don't open. Period. And if you're treated with disrespect by anyone, you come straight to me." He turned back to Kyle. "You're dismissed," he said coldly. "Clean out your desk. You're done here." Kyle's mouth hung open, but he didn't argue. "And Travis," Quentin said flatly, "you're on leave until further notice. Someone will be in touch. I suggest you use the time to reflect." Travis didn't speak. He just walked out, face red. The tension in the kitchen snapped like a wire. Someone let out a breath. Brenda looked down, her hands clasped. Quentin faced her again. "I owe you an apology," he said. "You shouldn't have had to explain compassion to anyone." "I didn't do it to get noticed," she said quietly. "I know," he replied. "That's why it mattered." She gave him a small nod. He turned back to the rest of the staff. "You're not just names on a schedule. You're the reason this company exists. I forgot that for a while. I won't forget again." Then he walked to the back office and started making calls. Saturday opened in a quiet haze. The sky hung overcast, casting a soft gray light through the windows as Quentin stood outside store 12, arms folded, waiting on the regional HR director. Her name was Meera Patel Sharp, measured, with a background in labor compliance and store-level mediation. He'd called her late the night before, explaining what had unfolded and what he needed, a quiet, thorough reset starting now. Meera pulled up in a modest hybrid, stepped out with a leather binder and a calm nod. "Didn't expect to meet like this," she said. "Didn't expect to need to," Quentin replied. "But here we are." Inside, the kitchen crew looked uncertain. Brenda was already wiping down the counter stations, eyes lowered but movements steady. The rest of the team moved slower than usual, glancing at the front door every few minutes, clearly unsure whether the storm from the day before was over or just gathering strength. Quentin stepped out from the office hallway and addressed them directly. "No one's in trouble," he said. "We're not here to punish anyone who's been doing their job. But we are making changes." He introduced Meera, who gave a brief, professional wave. "I'll be sitting down with each of you today," she said. "One-on-one. You don't have to share anything you're not comfortable with, but if you've got concerns about scheduling, management, safety, this is your time." Quentin nodded. "You've all been asked to carry too much for too long. That ends today. No more guessing who's in charge, no more being told to just deal with it. We're rebuilding things the right way." No one clapped. No one cheered. But they listened. And that was enough. Meera set up in the small break room with a clipboard and a quiet tone. One by one, the staff filtered in. Quentin stayed out of earshot, letting her handle the conversations privately. Instead, he rolled up his sleeves and jumped on the line. There was no acting now. He wasn't Ray anymore, but the rhythm of the grill was familiar, and the staff needed every pair of hands they could get. By mid-morning, Brenda was restocking the soda bar when Quentin stepped beside her. "Got a minute?" She glanced over. "Of course." They moved toward the back storage hallway, out of earshot. "I wanted to ask you something," Quentin said. "You've been holding this place together. You didn't ask for recognition, didn't complain. But I need someone who understands what this staff is actually going through. Someone who's earned their trust." She didn't answer right away. "I'm offering you a lead position," he continued. "Not just on paper. Pay bump. Scheduling authority. You'd work directly with the new store manager once we bring them in. Help get this place back on track." Brenda blinked. "I've never managed before. I'm not asking for perfect," he said. "I'm asking for honest. For someone who understands people. You've got that." She looked down, thinking. "If I say yes, I'd still get to be out on the floor, right? I don't want to be stuck behind a screen all day." "You'll split your time," he said. "Part hands-on, part oversight. And you'd be the one helping shape how this place runs moving forward." She gave a small nod. "I'll do it. But only if you mean it. I can't be a figurehead." "You won't be." Meera stepped out from the break room just then, nodding toward Quentin. "Can I borrow you for a second?" He excused himself and followed her into the office. She shut the door quietly. "We need to talk about what I've been hearing." He sat down. "Go ahead." Multiple staff said Travis was pocketing portions of the weekly cash tips, claiming they were held back for breakage or to balance drawer shortages. No documentation. No audits. Just his word. Quentin's jaw tightened. That's theft. Also, the youngest server, Marina, 19, said Travis refused to put her on closing shifts because, and I quote, "customers don't want to see tattoos and nose rings at night." Quentin closed his eyes for a long second. "That's discrimination. She's been scheduled strictly for early lunches and clean-up shifts. Said she didn't want to cause trouble, so she just kept her head down. She's getting full back pay for every missed shift she should have had," Quentin said. "And Travis will not be coming back. I'll have legal draft a formal termination based on both grounds." "There's more," Meera added. "Two of the cooks said Kyle used to drop in unannounced, take inventory, and then walk out with cases of dry goods. Pasta, canned sauces, oil. They weren't sure what he did with it, but they mentioned seeing his trunk full of supplies more than once. He's already out, Quentin said. But we'll run a full audit of his stores. If he skimmed anything, we'll press charges. Mira nodded. I'll notify legal. They sat in silence for a moment. Anything else? He asked. One more thing, she said. Brenda, she's respected, but she's been covering for too many gaps. She's been clocking out, then staying late to help close. Unpaid. Said she didn't want the younger staff getting overwhelmed. She gets retroactive pay for every after-shift hour she worked, Quentin said. And from now on, no one clocks out until work is done. Period. Mira stood. I'll write it up. By late afternoon, the shift was winding down. The team looked less tense now. Still tired, but a layer of pressure had lifted. Brenda had already started reviewing the new scheduling software with one of the hosts. Marina was working a mid-shift side station, focused and fast. Quentin stepped outside. The air had warmed slightly, clouds breaking overhead. A car pulled into the lot. From it stepped a woman in her 50s, short hair, big coat. Her face looked familiar. She approached with a hesitant smile. Are you Mr. Zeller? I am, he said. I'm Karen, Brenda's aunt. She doesn't know I came. I heard what happened. I wanted to say thank you. He shook his head. You don't have to thank me. She's been through a lot, Karen said. Lost her mom when she was 16. Been working ever since. Never asked for help. When she told me about the dogs, I told her someone might not understand. That someone might think it was stealing. She wasn't wrong, Quentin said. But she's not going to have to worry about that anymore. Karen's eyes softened. It matters. When someone sees the good in her. He nodded. I saw it. He watched her walk back to her car and drive away. Back inside, Quentin gathered the staff once more. Listen up, he said. Tomorrow's Sunday. We're closing the store for the day. A few heads turned, surprised. We'll use the time to deep clean, reset inventory systems, and let everyone rest. You've earned it. One of the cooks let out a small whistle. Someone else clapped once, then stopped, unsure if it was allowed. Quentin continued. Monday, we start fresh. New systems, new standards, new leadership. If you show up and do your job with integrity, you'll have a place here. If you don't, you won't. He looked each of them in the eye, one by one. No more coasting. No more looking the other way. This company only works if we all work for each other. Then, without fanfare, he stepped back, grabbed a bucket, and started wiping down the back prep sink. No applause. No speeches. But the energy in the room shifted. Not overnight. Not completely. But enough. Monday morning arrived cold and sharp. The sky was clear, but the frost clung to the edges of windshields in the staff parking lot. Quentin pulled into store 12 just after 7, a clipboard under his arm and a thermos of black coffee in hand. He wasn't there to inspect, he was there to implement. Inside, the kitchen smelled of fresh citrus and sanitizer. The deep clean from the day before had reset the space. Every surface gleamed. The staff had come in for just a few hours paid, no questions asked, and helped reorganize everything from pantry shelves to prep logs. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Brenda was already there. She stood by the scheduling terminal, reviewing the new shift roster she'd helped build over the weekend. Her posture had changed, subtle, but different. She wasn't bracing anymore. She was present, focused, grounded. Quentin stepped beside her and waited. We've still got 2 unfilled lunch slots for Wednesday, she said without looking up. I've got Marina willing to flex, but she's also juggling classes. Then we don't fill it until we've got someone who can handle it without burning out, Quentin said. We'll run short that day if we have to. Brenda finally looked over. That's what I told her. She offered anyway. She'll go far, he said. So will you. She didn't nod or deflect. She just went back to adjusting the screen brightness on the terminal. He moved into the dining area. Mira was already at one of the tables, reviewing a new onboarding packet with a young man in a blue button-up shirt. His name was Louis, a new hire brought in from another city location. He'd volunteered to transfer and help stabilize Store 12. Experienced, even-tempered, and most importantly, clean slate. Quentin waited until they wrapped up. Louis, he said, extending a hand. Ready to get your hands dirty? Louis grinned. Born ready. Your job's not to overhaul. It's to listen, learn the rhythm of this place, and earn trust. You're not being inserted, you're being added. I get that, Louis said. Already got a feel for Brenda. She sees everything. Staff respects her. I'll follow her lead until I know the ground. Good, Quentin said. You'll be reporting directly to me for the first month. No layers. If you see something broken, say it. If you don't understand something, ask. Louis nodded once, then headed to the back to start his shadow shift. By 10, the store opened. The first wave of customers was steady but manageable. Brenda walked the floor with a small notepad clipped to her apron, jotting down small inefficiencies: placement of napkin dispensers, the delay on the door chime, the flow of foot traffic around the soda fountain. She wasn't nitpicking. She was refining. Quentin stayed mostly in the background. He wanted to observe without intruding. The staff moved differently now, still fast, still under pressure, but with less of that brittle edge. There was more communicating, less snapping. When a tray was dropped near the kitchen pass-through, no one rolled their eyes or muttered. Brenda knelt, helped clean it up, and quietly offered to replace the spilled drink herself. Mid-shift, Quentin stepped outside to take a call from his legal team. Kyle's internal audit had confirmed the worst. Inventory discrepancies dating back 6 months, with patterns suggesting consistent removal of product for personal gain. Combined with the testimony from the Store 12 team, the company had grounds for full legal action. Quentin didn't hesitate. File it, he said. I want every dollar on record and every loss accounted for. He hung up and stood still for a moment, letting the cold air settle in his lungs. He wasn't angry anymore. He was clear. Back inside, Mira had finished her sit-downs with the remaining staff. She found Quentin near the dry storage, going over the new vendor logs. Everyone signed off on the new code of conduct, she said. We also added a reporting channel that goes directly to my office. No middlemen. Total anonymity if they need it. Good, Quentin said. They earned that trust. She hesitated. One more thing. Marina's been asking about apprenticeships. She's not looking to leave, but she wants to learn more than just service work. She'll get it, he said. We'll draft a development track and pair her with someone from the culinary team. We invest in the ones who want to build. Mira smiled faintly. She's already noticed the change. Said she doesn't feel invisible anymore. Then we're on the right track. The afternoon wore on. Customers cycled through in steady waves. A group of construction workers came in around 3, loud and hungry. They joked with the staff, left generous tips, and told Brenda it was the best service they'd had all month. She didn't beam. She just nodded and got them refills before they even asked. Just before the dinner rush, a woman came in with a young boy. They sat in the far booth, quiet, tired. Brenda took their order herself. When the kitchen got backed up for a moment, she brought the boy a small cup of apple slices on the house. Not because she had to. Because she saw the signs. Quentin watched from the far side of the kitchen window. He didn't interrupt. He just observed the flow of the place as it found its footing again. By closing, the restaurant was spotless. The team worked together without needing direction. Brenda double-checked the walk-in. Louis reviewed the closeout register report. Marina stayed an extra 10 minutes to help wipe down the counters, even though her shift had ended. No one asked her to. Quentin gathered them in the dining area. I'm not one for speeches, he said. But I want you to know something. What we're building here isn't just about optics or policy. It's about people. Every single one of you matters. If you bring honesty and effort, you'll always have a place here. He paused, meeting each of their eyes. We lost track for a while. I lost track. But that ends now. No one clapped. That wasn't the vibe. But the silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was grounded, real. Brenda cleared her throat. I don't speak for everyone, she said. But I'll say this: if this place stays like this, if we're heard and backed up when it counts, people will line up to work here. We don't need slogans. We just need follow-through. Quentin nodded. You'll get it. He dismissed them early, despite the prep left for morning. They'd earned it. As they filed out, he stayed behind. He walked the line one last time, checked the burners, flipped off the fryers, secured the back door. When he reached the alley, he paused. The stray dogs were back, sitting quietly near the fence. He crouched and opened the container he'd brought. Chicken, brown rice, carrots, all safe, all fresh. He set the bowls down gently. One of the dogs approached, sniffed, then began to eat. He didn't pet them. He didn't try to make a moment out of it. He just watched. Behind him, the kitchen lights clicked off, one by one. And for the first time in months, Quentin Zeller felt like the company he'd built was finally becoming the one he'd always meant it to be.